up, everyone? And welcome to another special edition of Epic Nerd Time. A little bit of a crossover with Guitar Pride's podcast as well, because we're going to be posting this to both podcast feeds. We are here with a legend, guys. Cross-Eye Comics owner, now under the lesser-known comics umbrella, with a Kickstarter that has gone live yesterday. A little birdie told me that all the good stuff's happening over there. Little backstory here, guys. Doug at 6 was diagnosed with an optic chiasm. And this tumor caused tremors within his brain, which in turn caused small pieces of his optic nerves to totally fall off, leaving him legally blind. But yet, this man continues to crush it. I am so impressed. My newest daily inspiration, a tattoo artist, hockey player, skateboarder, a father. There's no excuses when it comes to this guy. Like I said, my newest inspiration, Mr. Doug Knight. How are you, brother?
Dude, I'm good after that. Holy smolies. Yeah. Every time I do an interview at this point, I think the impact of the positivity just keeps flowing. So it keeps getting more and more humbling. I'm gonna have to start shrinking down a little bit every time somebody says something nice.
No way, man. Puff that chest out, dude, and say it with your chest, man, loud and proud, because this is awesome. Guys, if you listen to Guitar Pride's podcast, episode 69, Mean Beard of the Week, Doug Knight in the house. Wonderful, wonderful edition we've got here. Man, first off, Kickstarter, fully funded. How does that feel?
Pretty surreal. I know that I set a super reasonable goal under the expectation that if for whatever reason it just laid stagnant the whole time, it's something I could kind of pick up myself out for a couple days worth of work. But now every time somebody backs it, it just fluffs it up just a little bit more. It gets a little bit more exciting. Yeah, it's really cool, man. It's the first Kickstarter that I've done, solo Lobo. And I obviously continue to learn things, but with the help of Mr. Bernal, I was able to, go through with a fine-tooth comb and kind of be prepared for the variables that I wasn't thinking about. Just super excited, man. Humility is such a big thing for me, but realistically, how do you say thank you to people that either you've known for a long time, or just met, or are just super invested in what I've got going on. So it's really, really fun to see it growing so rapidly.
The thank you comes from the work, man. I mean, I know you're basically putting the thank you first because of the work. Because that's what people are interested in. That's people who are coming here, they're supporting you, but yet they want something in the end, which is the finished product, So, I mean, the work speaks for itself is what I'm getting at.
Sweet.
In the Kickstarter realm and with what you got going on, how stressful is this? 1 to 10.
Honestly, 4. I don't.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Okay, no, that's rad.
So it not to say that I don't respect the demon, but I've already done damage, I already
yes,
out there
you've put in the work,
and
I see.
It's same reason why Mark and I are working in partnership with each other is I'm kind of a beast of ambition. So it's if I said it previously that if I see a compatriot is spinning 13 plates, I'm not going to whip rocks at the stick so that they break and they have to give me the attention. I'm going to continue doing what I got to do, which means in the same sense that with Kickstarter, as excited as I was to follow the example of Dan Price and some of the other killers, Tardigrade Press, all the guys that are in the indie community, I was I would be just as happy again fronting that money, having a big box of books, and then if I don't get any backers, still be able to reward the people that I was able to see wanted to support me, as well as be able to sell at smaller cons and stuff like that, because I want to start making a more physical footprint in the community around me.
Yeah, definitely merch would be a big thing. I think it seems to see in this indie comic community. You go out to these cons and different things. You got to have something at least to kind of stand on, maybe help get you some dinner that evening as well.
Yeah, just to show that you're more than a digital promise, right?
Yeah.
And not that there's anything wrong with that, but I do remember talking to good old Dan Price, uh, like I guess when he did kick Bigfoot Knows Karate 1, and one of his big things was like the book's done. I just got to sort out the logistics, and I remember just thinking to myself, like, it's such an honest hill to stand on where it's like nobody has to wait for anything. People are excited about it, and the fulfillment. I remember his fulfillment was like super expedient. So I hope to deliver on a very similar level of quality. And you learn from the people around you, and that's cream rises to the top, or whatever they say, but or equally water seeks its own level. But it's been really cool to see the examples set, and to not stress over it, because it's like you got to pay bills. I was part of a huge art show last week that I was equally as focused on preparing for, while getting all the Kickstarter prep done. And by the time it all came around to it, it's just like, when you do the work and you prepare for the action of the event, I think the what you do is you buy yourself the opportunity to understand that you're prepared for inevitabilities. And so that allows me to not stress about that, and put a little bit more focus on my toddler who broke his arm.
Oh
Like it's
no.
yeah. But it's I think same thing when your gaze is spread across the whole land. Watching a skirmish in amongst two villages is just one problem, amongst the famine going on somewhere else, and the slave trade going on somewhere else, and all the other crummy stuff. So it's about mitigating all of the tiny little fires, and making the best out of it. So stress isn't high on my list, because I think positivity and preparation, they kind of win the day at the end of it all.
Yeah, you're already battling that from the beginning. It's awesome. So what?
Quick, tiny little edit. My brain tumor sits on my optic chiasm. So the optic chiasm is the intersection of the nerves that attach through the pituitary to the brain, and that's where the tumor sits in. So just in your intro, it was almost perfect, with a small twist of missing the meat of the tumor. That's all.
Hey man, if I can get a passing grade in your eyes, I,
Dude,
I I think I did okay.
listen, I'm gonna give you like a solid 97, because
Hey,
it's
I'm taking that to the bank, brother.
hell yeah, cash it in for extra credit, brother.
Oh my gosh. So how's it feel to be under the lesser known umbrella, man?
It's super cool. Mark and I have established the working relationships, the relationship terms of being in partnership with one another. And what's really liberating about that is that I don't have to focus on, um, you know, like, not representing proudly another brand, but continuing to build what I have built so far, and then having the added privilege of working alongside with such a gang of killer artists and creators. And the real benefit to lesser known and cross-eye kind of getting together and being cross-border allies is that we've been able to deliver a distribution setup where it's like we got to set the same shipping price point across the whole Kickstarter for US and Canada. And I think that it's a real equalizing factor where it's like there's nobody in Texas is afraid of backing it, because all of a sudden shipping is like inexplicably $32, or nobody in Moncton is afraid of backing me, because again, all of a sudden it's like some unreasonably high fulfillment costs. So we've really come together to find out the best way to make everybody happy. And like, honestly, Mark is one of the like nicest people that I've met in a long time, where our connection off of maybe 30 hours of conversation together has gotten so solid with each passing syllable.
Yeah, Mark. I think I've said it a few times. Mark is a unicorn.
Mm,
The man is a legend.
totally.
So let's jump into some more of the good stuff. Without spoiling this, can you give us a chiasm rundown?
Sure can. Chiasm is a sci-fi retelling of my life as a childhood cancer survivor. You swap out chemotherapy with alien molecules, and then every story that I draw on in Chiasm is a part from my life. Living as an individual with exceptional needs. So it allows me to explore body horror issues, romance, comedy, not being comfortable in your own skin, living across culture divides, like all these like things that I can try to present in as entertaining and dynamic a way as possible.
It's rad. I love the way it looks up front. I know at first when I first seen it, I was like, "You're probably gonna hate this." I was like, chai, what? How the hell? And then I had to Google it and
Yeah.
make
So
sure
the
get
best
my stuff straight.
the best part about and I was deliberate about this is the best my favorite part about the name is like the nerd fight that I know it's going to cause, right? Like there's I don't even know if I'm going to pronounce it properly, but there's a post-hardcore band back in the day called Chidas, right? Or
Okay.
Chiodis or whatever, but like people used to fight over it, and I remember thinking like, man, if you can get people just even talk about it and like argue about the name, then like you're in the brain.
Yes.
And so I know that like chiasm, I can't wait to be sitting at a con table and somebody walks past and like, who's chasm, and then his buddy's like, oh idiot, it's chiasm, like it's just like I just know the moments like it's a year away.
Or you're gonna hear it run down like a bunch of variants of it's
I
chiism or
love it.
chiasm.
I love it because I love that it challenges you off the hop, and then you got to get around the title to figure out what the hell I'm talking about in my writing, and then the visuals will challenge you as well. So I'm super excited to just kind of be a new frustrating face to comics.
That's it. I don't know. I may be talking out of turn here, but that's such like a pro wrestling way of doing things.
You're the second
Like
person to say that tonight.
dude, that is such a pro wrestling way of doing it. Like you're just causing heat and causing shit, and it's lovely.
Yeah.
It's so good. Was it hard to write about this brain tumor diagnosis? And in turn, was it a little bit of therapy? Maybe?
I would say 99% catharsis. Like I would say that so there's in my fourth or fifth book, there's a scene where Desmond Phillips, or there's panels where Desmond Phillips is inside of the MRI. And I did my best to actually like bring a story of me having an anaphylactic reaction to my chemo treatment into the panels, and like the expression of like the itch and wanting to get out of the restraints, and like there's sci-fi twists in there, but there's a lot of true feelings. And I like for the first time in like years, like I just like I started like tearing up, and I didn't know why. And I kept working, and then like I got like real emotional, and I couldn't figure it out. And then like I put the Apple Pencil down, and I stepped back, and I was like, I realized that like this wall of like not post-traumatic stress, but just like memories of the past, and like I was so invested in like the feeling of the itchy fingers, and the slowing of the heart rate and everything. Like it really affected me. And I knew after I was able to work through that I was like, the first three issues were like finding my way, but this is the golden ticket. Like I really do feel like I'm going to be able to reach a large audience of like 12 and up people dealing with some really awful stuff, and make it look really cool. So, in reformatting it for print, I'm going to be able to take like the little tiny square panel that I was afraid of like taking up too much space with a wall of text, and I want to turn it into like a love letter to anybody who's afraid of having an MRI on a full spread on the page prior the next run around. So yeah, so I really, in all of my work, I try to hit that note where it's like if it puts me to the edge of like leaking out of my orifices, then I feel like I'm doing good. And then like to be able to turn any of that around with like me reaffirming that I'm the funniest person I know when I do the next twist, then that's right where I'll hit you back with. So yeah,
That's
man, it's
rad.
it's everything.
So, is there a certain comic or certain artist maybe that has kind of led the inspiration trail for Chiasm?
Well, I think it would be unfair of me to not give the Bob or the Todd father. Bob father is his father. The Todd father propers for his influence of my affinity for blood and gore back in the '90s. Issue 68 of Spawn was the first oh yeah comic book that I got from a friend's little brother who was like still 5 years older than me, and it's like Spawn silhouette atop a pile of like a river of gore. And I remember like the first time I saw it, I was just like, oh, everything about this appeals to my rage. And that led me down the like everything had chains and capes for the next 3 years of my life. And skulls, lots of skulls, but that ended up
Lots of
transferring to
skulls.
tattooing. So woo. But and that led me to I got to meet Todd McFarlane for like a cancer make-a-wish thing. And so like I on a personal level and on a creator level, always held him in very high regard. Um, the Canadian connection too, because growing up in Canada, comic books felt very out of reach throughout my whole adolescence. But now it's uh, it's hard not to say all the giants inspire me, right?
Yeah.
Frank Miller and um Greg Capullo and but like on a small, like not a smaller level, but on a different scale, like Robert Marzullo is an incredible illustrator. Um like Dan Price is killing it with all the work that he's doing. Liam
Funny
Jones.
story about Dan Price. I ordered the Bigfoot nose karate stuff, and he sent me a proof.
No way. On
Yeah,
accident or for real?
it was on accident.
Okay. Did you send it back or you
I
like
asked him, I said, dude, I will send this back. Like, you just tell me. He goes, no,
yeah.
dude, that's my mistake. It's all yours. Go ahead and keep it.
That's
And then
awesome.
I gave him shit because I wanted it signed because I bought it and I wanted it signed. And I was like,
Yeah.
dude, it's not signed.
Yeah, I know, man. That's part of the growing pains of like respecting your editorial process, right? Like you think you're like on top of the world, and then you just like, uh, I missed this,
I missed this
And
little thing.
yeah, and it's huge to you, right? But it's tiny, like nobody else is gonna notice it. But yeah, no, the just like so much influence from the people around me. I was saying just before you so rudely cut me off.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Liam Jones from Spin Kick Comics. He's like he's a fellow Canuck, and like he's just like he's not long in the tooth, but he's a couple years older than me, and like he's just like he's chasing the comic book dream now so hard, and everything that he puts out is like this like technical, like just like it's all like hammers to the head. Like everything is just so sharp, and he's pushing it with different technologies, like messing around with Adobe Fresco and like pushing different drawing theories, and like he's on coffee break at his job and he's like drawing these like crazy intricate spaceships and stuff like that. Like he's just one of those dudes that's got the style that you just want to see succeed. So I draw influence from everybody from the bottom to the top. LKC, like Charlie Ragnarok, she's got such a fun illustrative style that like it really translates to her personality through her work. Ray Garza and Tank McGregor, like that book is just dripping with like badass attitude, and it's like you can tell that like he cares so much about what he does. So it's just like to be surrounded by everybody, like it's really good, man. Surround yourself with the people that you want to be associated with, and then the people that you aspire to are going to come to you because they see that you're who they want to gravitate to. So it's just super fun.
Yeah, that Tank McGregor book is very good.
It's out of this world.
It's
Huh? Huh?
yeah. Yes. Not to mention, hey, we've had Ray Garza on this show. Check back to episode 50 on Guitar Parts Podcast. Down the podcast feed, as
Who I didn't know was
always.
9 feet tall until I saw him in a picture with
He's a tall bitch.
yeah.
But guys, this show, as always, is brought to you by Lesser Known Comics.
Oh, those guys.
Use the promo code EpicNerd15, all caps at checkout, and save yourself some dollars. And hey, maybe down the road, there'll be a Doug Knight comic on there that you can save some money with.
Hey, they've already got that pretty picture on there, so I think it's coming.
It's on the way, guys. Don't hold your breath. But brother, are you still tattooing?
Yeah, man. I explained it yesterday in a sense where it's the unspeakable years. They shut everything in Ontario down, much like the rest of the world. But luckily for me, I was able to continue doing home renovations with my pops, enough to sustain for my family. It also afforded me the opportunity to really put a hustle on my books. Um, but what happened was I ended up doing well enough to sustain for my family that like when restrictions opened back up, my client list was like there, but either moved on to other things or just like onto their own projects or doing whatever. So I was real slow to like reach back out to people to kind of get the ball rolling again. Lucky for me, the dude that owns the shop that I work out of is like I tell everybody like blood couldn't make us any closer. So his moniker is Ronnie. My youngest child's name is Ronnie. It's no cool, like it's not like it's there's no relation there, but it's just like it's funny whenever I'm there and I'm like, oh man, little Ronnie was such a shit the other day, and everybody's like looking at my buddy like, you're gonna let him talk about you like that, you know. But he's lovingly allowed me to have my spot there, with the understanding that like as long as I'm kicking ass, when I'm busy, my spot's there, and when I need the time to pursue my publication, that he understands that, or as long as I'm generating for my family first. So I'm tattooing as much as I can book, which isn't a lot currently, but it has been getting busier. So I'm not ready to shut that down for the next 10 years anyway. So
Nice. So kind of like a side hustle kind of thing.
I call it it's number two of my three full-time jobs.
Crumbs make crumb cake, babe. I
That's right,
say it
buddy.
every time. Um, do you find that it's easier to create digitally or using pen and paper?
It all depends on who's at a sleepover with my parents. So for whatever reason, I'm still learning much of the technoverse, but my background is blurred currently. I've got some pretty fun prints behind me. Um, I learned on paper. I learned how to make a mess when I started tattooing. I learned how to spit shade and watercolor paint and all that stuff. I love painting acrylically. Like I love smashing around with markers and pen and ink and stuff like that. What I don't love is the 20-minute cleanup or the half-hour battle with my toddler or my 7-year-old because they just want to help, but like it's I don't want your help, not right now. Like they when I can turn them into a little workforce and like somebody can color for me, is someone do my backgrounds, like then we'll talk, right? But and obviously I will fairly compensate my children for their labor and efforts. But the afford what digital affords you is um the ultimate toolbox, right? Like between tantrums I can go draw for 15 minutes until I have to stash my iPad under the couch or like run off to a corner or something like that. So I love what digital does as far as the access to uh tech that it gives you. You can set your panels up really quick, and the better you get at working across um uh like illustration programs, the like more powerful you get with it. But like nothing's ever gonna like take me away from like getting pencil smudges on my nose because I gotta look so close to the paper that it's that's where it's at.
Yeah.
So it's like I love it all, man. But like I think that the thing that I focus on in conjunction with that is keeping my analog skills as sharp as my digital skills, and then keeping my digital skills true to what my hand does by analog, so that when someone commissions that sketch cover or something, it doesn't look like I've lost a step, or I rely so heavily on like the zoom and all that stuff with my digital tools. Like I turn smoothing off for everything except for paneling and stuff like that. And then even if I'm like if I want like that jagged effect on my panels, then I'll like turn smoothing off for that too. But I try not to rely on any like digital crutches. You know what I mean? Like crutches for me, but like very good assistive tools for other people.
Yes.
Because I don't want to bag on anybody. Like how you create is how you create. But for me, I just like I like And also it transfers to tattooing, right? Like I don't want to all of a sudden just go into like everything that I do is like smooth as eggs, and then like I set up for that next tattoo, and it's just like, oh well, this is a blast, you know, and it's like it's just there's deviations, and you don't want deviations.
Yeah.
So it's about keeping myself regimented as well. So but you know, you give me a tuba, I'll make art with it, right? As John
Dude,
Lennon said.
you're consistent, brother. You're working on that consistency every day, hitting that same mark every time. So, with all of the other work that you were kind of showing and talking about that you've done and put in, will any of this come out with lesser known?
In terms of like my other projects.
Yeah, or yeah, just any past books that you might have already put out.
Yeah, so anything that I produced prior to this was digital on the Comixology platform. And once the mothership took over and they became KDP, and they sent that doom email to everybody saying you have a month to format all of your stuff to KDP, or you know, new purchasers won't be able to attach to it. I was just kind of like, well, this is the first like adapt or die scenario for me, and I assessed the fact that I was okay dying on the Comixology platform because it gave me the push that I needed to really pursue print. And so you know, I am of the mindset that wherever I am is where I have to be for while I'm there. So if I have the good fortune of bringing, you know, another 9 books to light with Mark and everybody there, then I'm happy to do so. If it means that we go from Chiasm Zero to The Man from Scratch to Super Wicked White Cell Squadron to, you know, If I Die Tomorrow or whatever else I have going on, then it's what's meant to be in that regard too. So I'm not opposed to anything other than making good comics, bringing other creators up with me as I achieve levels of you know, renown, and keeping the good times rolling and the positivity strong for everybody.
Dude, I love it. I love every bit of what you're saying, and just about how he's just constantly kicking ass and bringing the people up with you, and like
Drinking coffee,
exactly copious amounts of caffeine,
copious amounts of caffeine.
copious.
I'll be spun till 1 in the morning, but I'll be excited 'cause I got to talk to good people tonight.
Dude, it's always a good feeling when you get a good sit down in. But when you're not writing or drawing or doing the comic book thing or tattooing, obviously,
Mhm.
what does
Or
Doug
building
do?
houses.
Yeah, we're building houses. What do you do? What do you do to take your mind off of all this craziness?
I afford myself. I don't, it's not craziness as much, like that's just part of life for me, right? Like it's just like
Yeah,
it's
of
I
course.
like if I go on a few days sabbatical with my family, like I find that like I'm now at the point where my pace is good that I can not think of anything for like 2 days. And then once those 2 days creep by, and like it's almost like a Nick fit, right? Like my hands like, where's my pencil? Where's my pencil? Where's my Wi-Fi? Gotta sit down, gotta draw something, gotta do something. Blah, blah, blah. You know, like everything starts to creep up on me. But I have such a heavy emphasis on accountability for my family life, that you know, basically as soon as my wife and I decided that like we're done with all the childish like break up, get back together stuff, and we were in it for the long haul. You know, it was me embracing the opportunity to lead by my dad's example, and never let my kids turn around and wonder where I am, other than right now, but hopefully they're sleeping upstairs,
Yeah.
but I'm not far. And so my emphasis is on like, you know, their smiles, you know, and like and going to the playground, and making their friends know that like we have a safe family that they can all hang out with, and you know, just doing fun stuff and showing my kids too that like, you know, chasing a dream doesn't mean neglecting the people that are good to you,
Yes.
and that you know, like there's been times where like I know I'm asking a lot of my wife to go, you know, handle business with the kids, because like being a at home mom is like a crazy respectful position, you know what I mean? Like like making sure that your kids don't turn into a-holes while you're at work is like it's the ultimate level of trust, right? And so like to know that my partner in crime is like the warden at home while I'm not here is like it's such a sigh of relief for me. And then, you know, when it is family time, we go to the zoo, we laugh, you know, go to the skate park, and they laugh, I cry, because I'm getting old and my joints are heavier than the average bear.
Yeah.
Just and enjoying all the quiet moments. I've got to. eh, It's kind of it's kind of a crummy like vanity project, because I sneak it out like whenever I'm with the kids. But I've got something that I'm working on, and it's like daydreaming. And so I just take pictures of like good fluffy clouds when I see them, and then I'll do like an overlay sketch on it when I get the time. And I want to have that as like a nice coffee table book, and then like have like, so obviously, like, unfortunately I'm thinking all the time too. But like, but just enjoying the family time when I do have it. Like, I don't drive for obvious reasons. My wife drives. I still pay for the car, but like, I'm passenger wherever we go. I don't ask her to drive across the city if I'm not willing to sit with her. So
Yeah.
so I think that prioritizing everybody where they need to be is the best way to not panic if you feel like you're slipping behind in your workload.
Man, not to go back to, not the heavy stuff, but I would be interested to see these cloud sketches.
I posted one on my Instagram not long ago.
Okay,
Yeah,
I will
yeah, it's
definitely do the go scroll backwards a while and
yeah,
check it
yeah.
out.
It's I think it ended up looking like a chameleon with like a space Cadillac, and
A space Cadillac.
yeah, and then there's some weird lizard creature up in the background. So
I'll
it's gonna
check
be a
it
lot
out.
of fun.
The other day on Instagram, I seen that you had posted a picture of some glasses that
Yeah.
almost mimic your blindness.
Yeah, yeah. So I did an art show, and I'm really excited to integrate this to basically every convention that I work now. And I grabbed a pair of pinhole glasses off of Amazon, and because I have interrupted sight, like my eyes are always auto focusing around what isn't making it to my brain. So it's like it's uh, it's hard for me to say that that's how I see, but it's like the closest thing that I can do to explain to people that I'm looking through like a mesh. And so what I did was I like challenged the people, the patrons at the art show, to put the glasses on and just do a sketch. I was going to give them like line drawing to go over top of, but like I kind of ran out of time on the show, and then I like last minute was doubting whether it was going to be an effective exhibit or not. But it ended up being like a slobber knocker. Like I had like 30 people a night interacting with it, and across like 3 hours, it meant that like somebody was holding on the pen like at any minute throughout the night, or bringing their friends to try, or like it ended up being a really cool experience. So and what I found it did was it drew, like, it brought people into my creative process, and it made them connect to like who I am as an individual, and kind of like the hurdles that I deal with. One dude who was really really funny was sitting there drawing, and he was like really invested into it, and then like I looked over at one point and he was killing it, but my glasses were sitting beside him, right? I was like, dude, you're cheating. He's like, but it started to like, it was really hard. I'm like, yeah, I know. He's like, it was giving me a headache. I said, yeah, I know. I was like, dude, I wish I could take 10 minutes away from being blind so I could be more productive. Right. And it was like, in joking about it, that like this whole like wave of like whoa spread across like the few people that were laughing about it. And but it was just, I just thought to myself at that point, like, what an effective like dad lesson to be able to like drop on somebody in the heat of something fun, right? And so I'm really looking forward to like that being something that like I build into all of my con tables and stuff, because I want people, I don't want anybody to feel like I think it'd even be cool if like heavy hitters are walking the floor and they're just like, oh damn, that looks like a cool challenge, and then they like give me a cool sketch. The other joke that I do is like when an older person puts the glasses on and they're drawing, I say, hey, listen, if that helps your eyes, go get them checked.
Now, did you say they were just pinhole glasses from Amazon?
That's it, man. Yeah, I know
Okay.
that
Okay.
the Canadian National Institute for the Blind offer like actual custom glasses that like bring you into the visual impaired experience. But I thought for for all intensive purposes that um I would get something that was like a little stylized, and not so horribly crippling that it's not fun for people to interact with.
And you didn't modify the glasses in any way.
No, I thought about it. I was gonna like there's actually a picture of me with my hands over top of my buddy's face, like where I was blocking off the peripheral that I don't have and stuff like that. And he's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, that would have been a terrible idea."
Oh man, it's I love it that you want to show people this. Like you're not afraid to be like, "Hey man, this is this is what I have to deal with. Check this out." You know, can you
Yep.
step up to the plate, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. It's being differently abled, or a person with exceptional needs, or however like you want to put the verbiage. It comes with a very dude, the sorry for the pause. The ice cream truck is out in my area right now. It's 9:30. I'm gonna go whoop Mr. Cone's butt if he wakes my children up. Um, okay, so but like it's all about controlling the narrative of how you want to be perceived.
Yes.
And especially in the art or the the comic aficionado community and stuff like that. There are people that are like, their thumbs are the meanest critics. And I have no problem. People can say whatever they want to say about me, because at the end of the day, I can either say it to my face and face the consequences of being a negative person, which typically is just positivity from me and encouragement that like I hope your day gets better, you know. Or an understanding that like, I'm not spinning this gimmick because it's like it's cool and I know it's going to hook people. I'm inviting you into my world to see the fact that like the standard at which I have to create things that are on par with what you want to invest in um isn't driven by the fact that like there's the angle there. Like the my vision and how I operate is just a sweetener. It's like I want you to see the book with like the little devil kid, with the silhouette on his face and the crazy eyeballs and the people screaming, and just want to pick it up and read it. And then once you get to the back of it and see that, like this dude is working under these circumstances, just to like look through it again and be like, damn, like especially with tattooing and stuff, I operate at a level of like um such high self-criticism that like if I miss something, or if I'm not happy with something, I feel like the lens that other people see it is like so much sharper, that like I'm my own, like I'm my hardest critic. And so I embrace what I am, I embrace what I work with, and I want to invite everybody to walk with me through that, so that they don't ever think that I'm using it as a cheap pass or an easy money grab.
The dude, I couldn't have thought of it any better. Like, I think it also too, like, going back to what you're saying, for letting the work grab you, seeing it for the work. Cause isn't that how we all kind of like comics back in the day?
Dude, we all judge books by the cover.
Right? Like we're like, dude, that dude looks badass. I
Yeah.
want that book. Like I don't even give a shit if the story sucks. I just want it
No.
because that dude looks
Well, I didn't
badass.
give a shit if the story sucked because I couldn't read the speech bubbles. So like,
I'm
like
sorry.
see, it's okay, but like seeing Weapon X, like, naked with cables attached to him and the helmet and like the drips everywhere, like that was the grab for me, like it wasn't the brilliant dialogue between all the characters on the inside of the page. No disrespect to the writers. It's hard to do and it's an art form to letter, but they weren't like selling it to the 0.005% of the legally blind demographic, right? So that's what got me, is the covers. Every time the covers, even if the cover was too busy, it didn't get me. So if it was a real simple, clear image, like issue 68 is the silhouette with the river of blood, and the more you look, the more detail you see. But like the comic books are about judging. It's like every couple months you come together, you make this book full of art in every form, even in the form of editing. And like it's like, you're bearing your chest to the world for everybody to like, hopefully really love and support, with the expectation that like there's going to be some negative recourse and like the Twitterverse or whomever wants to like jump on your back and be negative because they're just not having a good day.
Yeah. Or they're just jealous because you're further along than they are.
Yeah, well, you know what? Just got you
It's
brush
hard.
it off, man.
Exactly.
Pass on. My dad always says, "Pass on the outside." I said, "Dad, I can't drive. That reference doesn't work for me."
So, Doug, what's next for Chiasm? Is it Chiasm number one?
Yeah. So the story inside of Chiasm Zero was torn from the pages of issue one. And I did it because it's a true story from my life that I was able to like do more justice to by making it like a 14 page, mini or however you want to say it. And so what that meant was I had to fluff up number one again. And then because I'm going through the print process now, I'm going to assess where I can edit some of the images and make them stronger. And because I'm hand lettering now, I'm going to go through the books and simplify some of the walls of text that I had, and make it more appealing from a traditional comic book sense. And because I have the story for issues 1 through 9 done, I want to give you issues 1 through 3 in like a trade paperback, where it's like it's kind of like how Tank McGregor hit the market, where they gave you like the Tank McGregor like zero, and it was like the mini, or however you want to present it, and then Tank McGregor is like just this thick edition, and so I think that like rewarding people by trusting you the first time, and then giving them something like substantially awesome on the next campaign is the best way to go about it.
Awesome. Can you speak? Well, before we go in, did you say Chiasm is up to 9 issues?
10 if you include the 10th issue that I'm like hand lettering and drawing and everything, right? Like on paper.
Okay,
But
awesome.
that took a hard break when online schooling went on. So I was just about managing that and kind of figuring out what of it looks like dog poop, because I was overworking myself. So yeah, I've flushed all the way to 10. And then after 10, it's going to be like a story reset, where it brings you back and starts making the world that you know from the first issue more robust.
Okay. Do you ever see an end for Chiasm, or are you just going to try to, you know, keep going with it?
Well, I figure I've got um 33 years. Well, let's go like 28 years now of stories about being legally blind or living with cancer to draw from. And
Yeah.
I can turn, one anecdote into a 3 page or 3 issue arc, give or take. And so like by the factors there, it's pretty endless.
Yeah.
And then you start mixing in all the really fun stuff that I have for like cosmic conflict and side stories and what ifs and all that kind of thing. And like there's infinite potential for it. So ideally, as my ultimate passion project to bring to the world, it'd be nice to just start making money and making that happen for people. But then I've got other projects that I can create and then let go to the world, and then have those become their own thing and stuff like that. So
In the issues of you know 0 through 10, is the story just kind of congruent? Does it kind of follow along, or is it kind of little stories
no, I
involved?
like following a thread. And
Okay.
then I also like introducing like what the hell resets in some spots, right? I mean, at the time of saying this now, and then by the time we get to it, the way that I have it mapped out, like it's probably a year or so away from it, but like, Desmond Phillips in issues 1, 2, and 3 goes through a conflict that leads him to sitting on a couch and talking to somebody, and then which takes you into issues 4 and 5 of him as a child having the molecules implanted in him to fight the cancer, um, which brings you into 6, where like through the coma and the meeting of the molecules that are like multidimensional, they take all of the subconscious into the future, where you meet like noir Desmond Phillips, where you're like brought into the future where he owns a tattoo shop and he doesn't do much work anymore, but he's happy that the guys are busy. And he doesn't do much heroing anymore because the wife doesn't want him out there that much. And and then like there's a whole global conflict that starts up in there, and then you meet other characters from the world, like characters who applied to have the molecule implanted once they got like a global network set up for it, but were denied. And you meet, so like I introduce other disabled individuals into the book, and make a voice. I brought a character in who's severely disabled, but like he's some of my favorite writing because he's inspired by some of the dudes that I played hockey with, because I played in a special needs league, right? And I know how funny some people can be regardless of what their cognitive or physical limitations allow them to express. So then we've got that, and then we go through like this whole crazy combat thing, and then what we're going to do is we're going to come back to Desmond Phillips on this girl's couch, with like, and it's gonna be like he's gonna check his phone because she's gonna have taken off, and it's just gonna be like a picture that she took of him like turkey necking the drill coming out of his mouth, with like, maybe like a poster that just says like cool story, bro, or something like that, right? But then like I think about the details of the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And so you think about like the sweatshirt that she leaves him that he can put on to cover up the scars from like the conflict that he had in the first three books. And that creates the first remnants of like the silhouette on his face that covers up his eyes and the bridge of his nose and stuff. And then I've got like the whole thing of like there's a patch on that sweatshirt that's from like the skate punk gang in the city, and that introduces them, and then they become like a point of conflict, and then you meet like his tattoo shop friends who help bail him out of something, you know what I mean? Like it's just this thing where it's like a thunderstorm of things that just keep rolling. And I think that like part of investing in the issue zero is knowing that like the loco doesn't stop here, right? Like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy at this point.
Do you ever see Chiasm putting out one of the big Tank McGregor style books, like a big old thick phone book kind of thing?
Yeah, well, I think like the benefit of having the content created that I do gives me the opportunity to do just that a couple times, really, right? Like it's not going to be no Digital Lizards of Doom 397,000 page epic awesome sagas. But I do have the ability to put together a few really killer trade paperbacks, where I can beef them up a little bit, maybe toss some like artist notes and stuff in there and bring people into the creative process. And then also release them as singles, to kind of offset the cost of wanting to invest in something that big.
Of course. Can you go back a little bit? We talked about the art show, the art show in Ontario. Oh, it looks good.
You told me to go back a little bit, right?
Nah, hey. How did that come about, man? Your own art show, like.
Well, I was a part of a showcase.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
what was cool about it was that like I was approached through email, and like anybody with like a creator based email knows, like, or Instagram or social knows that like you get those messages like, hey, we'd really like you to be an ambassador for our awesome jewelry or something like that, right?
Yes.
And so I got the email and I started reading it. I'm just like, yeah, okay. Oh, yo, this guy just referenced like a specific post. Oh, this is like a thing that's like happening in my area. Oh, they're asking me to if I'm interested in participating. And so it's really cool to be, curated out of social, like off of social media land. To, they didn't know anything about like, well, whatever they read was what they got, but like they didn't know like who I am as a person or anything. And so just to kind of to have the opportunity to shine with, again, so many other creators of different, mediums and stages of success. Like I had the first night that I was showcasing, the person beside me did these incredible macrame pieces, and the person in front of us did custom made jewelry. The person beside me on the other side was responsible for like incredible photography that he was then doing like hand edits and Procreate on and stuff. So like it was it was such a diverse mix of like visual artists and fashion designers and musicians and photographers that it was really cool to see that like my comic book art drew such a diverse reaction from so many people as well.
Well, it lets you know. It lets you know you're doing the right thing.
Totally. And that's
You're in
exactly
the
how I
right
felt
space.
at the end of both nights, was like maybe I sold 5 books, maybe I I got to, interact with some people. Everybody that like hit my booth got a sick sticker, like I was able to, grow my social by like a healthy number. And again, I always go back to it's not about how big your social is, but unfortunately with like the internet credit score, like it is kind of,
It is.
it doesn't matter when people click on it and see like what that middle number displays, right? Because it's how many people are investing their attention on you. Um, so yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, and I totally felt like it's not like the imposter syndrome that I have, where it's like even after 10 years of tattooing, it's I still wonder if I'm worthy of sitting in a room of these guys that like I've had 10,000 coffees with, and help through the hardest times in their lives. um, Comics is like it's a good, like if anybody has anything to say about my comics, man, they can pick up a pencil and draw alongside with me.
Yeah.
Like they're
Give it a
welcome to
shot.
dive in and help out.
Man, you are an inspiration and a legit ass kicker. What do you do to remain so damn positive?
I assess what I've been through and what I have yet to experience. And I know how tired I've been before, and I know how frustrated I've been before. Um, I know that I'm fortunate. Like I take stock in the fact that the part of the world that I live in, although it's expensive, um, has we get, it rains water, not artillery. And my neighbor is my best friend or a good friend, or my community is so good. And so I just like I exercise grateful thinking for the fact that like the position that I've put myself in with my family is a good one. And nobody, someone might say that they have a headache, and it's not that I'm comparing my headaches to theirs, but I know that I always have a headache. And so it's unfortunate, like I'm glad that I can empathize or sympathize with them, and not just look at them like, yeah, suck it up, you're looking for attention. you know so I think that through assessing the suck, it allows you to embrace the awesome, like a little Nikki style.
Yes. We'll switch it up here. I've got three more questions.
Let's do it.
Marvel or DC? What are
Image.
you?
Did you hear
What's
that
that?
one? I said Image.
Image.
Or Dark Horse, or
Yeah,
Boom,
bro.
or IDW, or
Gotcha.
yeah.
Do you is it hard for you to enjoy the movies?
Not really. It depends. Like, okay, so here's my kryptonite. You put me in front of a movie screen, and I see a 2-hour oasis in which I'm not expected to answer emails or do any artwork, or even like make sure my kids are sitting still. So I might grab a few Z's, or several Z's. So so like for something to grab, like the Ant-Man movies, dude, they're some of my favorite, because Paul Rudd just like he grabs you, and he's just, like you're always waiting for the next chuckle. But like I don't know, man. I think that like I like some movies more than others. Um, but it's all art, right? Like it's just like if it's good, if it's bad. I wasn't the one there. I wasn't the one in the graphic studio, so they obviously felt good giving it to the world. So I'm gonna enjoy it as such. And then if I have any crummy things to say about it, then I'll choose who I say it to, um, so that it can never come back to me as part of a cancel campaign.
Dude, cancel culture will get you, man. Holy
Oh, you gotta tread
moly.
carefully in this world, man.
Yes, sir, dude. My land. We kind of you were kind of touching on it a little bit. We're gonna jump back into
Yeah.
the heavier stuff. What are you thankful for right now?
I would say that I am thankful that my oldest son turns 7 tomorrow. Um, Doctor said that I wasn't supposed to be able to have children. And I'm just assuming that because my wife and I love each other with such white hot fury, that that that's what brought those kids to creation. But he's turning 7 tomorrow. My toddler broke his arm last week. And today we got his cast switched out, and I'm thankful that it's a half cast instead of the Goliath sledgehammer that we had strapped to his shoulder that he was trying to take people's heads off with. and that he's only going to be 2 weeks to heal. So, and
That's awesome.
I'm thankful that neither of them have had to go to the hospital for worse news than, you know, your arm is broken. And that, you know, that I, again, have surrounded myself with so many good people that are understanding to me not being able to drive, that are willing at the drop of a hat to help me out. And that the good things keep happening for good return, you know?
Would you consider the partnership with Lesser Known a big step, a small step, or just a little mini step in your comic book career?
I think that the most important bricks to a foundation are the ones that start it all off. That's how you make sure that everything is straight. It's how you make sure everything is sturdy. It determines how the rest of the build is going to go. And for me to have aligned myself with such a solid brick like Mark, I consider myself um, as fortunate as I am, assured that, you know, my compass is on point for my character assessment. I think that in regard, like, we don't know how monumental something is going to be until we hit the next stage and realize what how good or bad a decision it was. So I think that at this time it is the most uh um the most well aligned move for both of us. I think that that our attitudes of creativity and creator driven success are just so so positive and so like minded that it would be hard. Like I told him the other day, I said, dude, you, me, and like a few of the other guys that we create with, we're going to be walking through a convention center sometime in the next 2 years. And like the word of like what we accomplished as like friends and partners and creators is just like people are going to speak about it. And it's like, it's going to be low key. We're not going to like bring attention to it, but we're going to know that like we made a dent on, you know, in this industry because we were like the first batch of people that didn't hate one another for offering something just as cool as the other guy, you know. And I believe that that positivity and intention, it's huge for everybody, not just for like, you know, my step at this stage of my career.
Gotcha. That type of positivity is infectious. You know, like it will run rampant through, you know, you, me, anybody else who picks it up. You know, if you get a whiff of it, it that
It's like
type of
smelling
positivity.
salts.
Yes. Yes. Doug, my brother, last question.
Mhm.
Are you working on anything new?
I am getting all the Kickstarter and the art show stuff kind of flattened me out a little bit, but I am always, I've got a few projects at different stages that depending on what I feel like working on, I can dip my toes in and do that. So I'm currently writing on the Super Wicked White Cell Squadron. So when I feel like adding to that story and I've got the time, I'll dive in and do some lettering there. And then when I want to ink or color, I've got about a 12-page differential on my project, The Man from Scratch. So I'll work away on that. And then as far as Chiasm goes, I am penciling and inking filler pages for the issue 1. And I also, again, you can go through my IG. I'm all about shouting out like the things that inspire me from the past. So one of the fun things that I'm building into Chiasm 1 is Desmond Phillips' love for a character called Sporin, and he's the Hellbound Highlander. So instead of a big flowing red cape, he's got this big, massive, flowing orange hair. So you know, and I think I think I have it written by Rod McLaughlin or something like that, right? Like just
Okay.
like just so much like spoof that like it's just dripping with funny and awesome as well. Like it's still cool action. But yeah, so I'm basically working on everything. I've even got like a series of short like 10-page stories based off of like the concept of like different deaths, you know. So I've got one where it's like simulation theory where You kind of get taken into a life of mundanity and then brought out of it just as easy. I've got another one where it's like old cartoon characters, like one finishes himself off, but then like the other one finishes him off from beyond the grave kind of thing. I've got another one where it's like I just love that, like the evolution chain thing. Like I don't know if do you remember music video Evolution by Pearl Jam?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I
So
do.
like and that was by McFarlane. That's totally like coincidental to bring that up, but like that whole like the amoeba being eaten by the double cell organism being eaten by the little fish. Like I want to do something like that in a 10-page story, but like I want it to be like to the extent of like I want to get all the like stuff that you expect done in the first 2 pages, and then like the next 8 pages, like by the time it's done, I want it to be like chimpanzee space lord marrying like a tentacle Cthulhu bride with like a world eater like rising above the like the altar and swallowing them, right? Like so I just really like fun stuff like that. And then or another one where it's like a superhero that like um puts his like loses his life in a global conflict, but then only like has a note saying like I don't want the world to celebrate me, I just want my family to lay me to rest, something like that, like really like different like emotional strings and stuff. So and the Cloud Book, and I've got friends that are coming at me that want me to do coloring on some of the strips. I do a bi-monthly strip with my buddies from the Next Panel Press where we all have like A squad, B squad, and we all put out strips each every other week. And like I've been slacking on that, but I'm gonna get back on that. So basically, if I can keep my hand moving while the kids are sleeping, I'm gonna keep doing it, man.
I love Next Panel Press. They put out some awesome stuff.
Oh, yeah, man. So you're familiar with them?
Yeah, yeah, I follow them, dude. I love
Yeah,
the little
that's
one
sick.
pages and
So
stuff.
I do the strip rad.
Okay.
And then my buddy Craig owns this shop that I work at. And he does Bot and Kirby. But everybody else there, like Brian Payne, he's super sick. He's got so much knowledge about the industry that like, he's forgotten more than I'll ever learn, basically, is what they say, right? Eli Schwab out of LA there, he's like both one of the nicest dudes and most dedicated like indie comic promoters that I think I've ever met. So to have fallen in with like that crew of kayfabers and stuff has been a total honor in itself as well, right? And we all were like horsemen of several different apocalypses. We all come from different angles. Some of us Canadian, some of us American, and we just like shoot the breeze on Messenger all the time, and are nothing but a support system for each other too. So it's the positivity of the indie spirit, man.
So before you get all transferred over to lesser known, is there anywhere right now where we can pick up your stuff?
Yeah, man. Oh no, everything is so basically all the digital stuff is like it's gone.
Okay.
It's in the ether and it's on my iPad. So if you didn't buy it on Comixology originally, you missed out, or you didn't, you're just waiting for the better version of it. Um, the Chiasm Zero is available from my front door or at any of the conventions that I work at in the GTA that I'm filling myself up with right now. Pardon me, or the Kickstarter. Just back the Kickstarter and jump on that.
Nice.
Twitter and me, we don't get along. Reading fine. So I can't keep up with the Twitterverse. So I'm just all Instagram. You can check out a little bit of my life story at crosseyecomics.com. And Lesser Known has started to prep their webpage with introducing Zero and everything else that comes out of me. So I'm just super super happy with what's all happening. And right now it's about I view every event that I do as furthering the footstep that I make forward. So I don't expect instant gratification or fame right now, because I know that everything that I'm doing is just opening the perspective for other people to see me under a different scope.
Dude, you are seriously, you are a legend. You're an inspiration. You a new positive force in my brain. I want to thank you for coming on the show, Doug, man.
Thank
This
you
is
so much
really
for
cool.
having me, dude.
This is super cool. I'm so glad you're a part of the lesser known community and your work is awesome. It speaks for itself. I didn't even know it was about your life story. I was just like, hey man, that cover looks kind of rad. I want to, I need to see a little bit more of this.
I love it, man. I'm glad that that's what drew you in. Thanks for
So,
judging me.
dude, thank you so much. Have an awesome evening. And, keep those toddlers in line, man. I'm actually about to have a baby on Monday.
No way. On Monday?
Yeah,
Hey,
on Monday.
yo, okay. So I hate to do this. I'm gonna give you Saturday night. So our first guy, sorry to drag it out longer. Our
No,
first guy
no.
was 10 days late. He was so comfortable where he was that like we basically had to go to the hospital and be like, eviction notice, please. And then even still, he was like, my wife labored for 38 hours to get his little butt out. And like he's good as gold. Our second man, we were like, they're like, so would you like to schedule? Like, oh yeah, like all the schedule. Like we had it. It was so well planned that my wife drove us to the hospital day of. We were like dealt with in like 16 hours, and then he gave us nothing but trouble since.
Yeah, I
So
have a 2-year-old that's adjusting to all this too as well.
it's a
So
lot, man. But I wish you all the luck and on all the health and I'm confident that the medical practices of today are a lot better than what they were 30 years ago. So
well, I hope it's a lot better when it was deep in the pandemic.
that was a little rough, man.
That's rough. It's like having kids come in to a pandemic or a baby formula shortage. Like my two
Yeah,
worst
I know.
fears,
I know, man. It's
Ugh.
it goes to show that we can complain about somebody's inability to draw feet, or we can focus on the fact that we just want our kids to be healthy and happy.
Doug, from the bottom of my little Ozark heart, brother, enjoy the rest of your evening and thank you for spending a little time out of your life here
Man,
on the
thank you so
show.
much again for having me. It's been such a pleasure to put a face to the online moniker and to be able to chat with you, buddy.
Well, hey, dude, let's do it again. I know we'll have some other talks down the road.
You betcha.
Let's have some fun later down the road. But hey, man, enjoy your evening, and I'll catch up with you later.
Keep them crossed.
Yes.